Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langate girim yat kripa tamavam vande paramananda madhavam. Oh Swami, please think through me, feel through me, speak through me, act through me, conduct through me. Sai Ram. Om Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. A Sunday morning, we may be geographically located at different, places, but in heart we are at one with Sai, in complete sync with Sai. As Sunday brings us together spiritually, soulfully to connect and share our spiritual energies and move on with the weeks ahead. I'm sure I missed the last session where Brother Shri had shared a lot on Swami's discourses and his, teachings on love. And we'll catch up sometime. And this time I felt, because it is also like, despite all the challenges that we have when we travel and we move from one place to another. Right now I'm in Delhi, I was in Satna, and then before in Gurgaon. And so despite all this, there's one thing which I strongly feel, and I'm sure I've learned from all of you, that when it comes to Swami's project, Swami's sevas, Swami's mission, whether we are a squirrel or a jatayu or a vanara or a rakshasa, all of us come together to do our bits. And if this is one of the sevas that we had, uncompromisingly, we should carry it on. So right now I'm in Gurgaon, in Delhi, for some other reason, which I'll maybe share about as we go down in the slide. So by weekly Sai vaccine. Now we are getting into the booster mode, right? In Singapore, we already started the booster vaccine. So this Sai vaccine is something that we cannot afford to take uh, not every moment. It is something that we have to be completely in sync with Sai to remain insulated from the happenings in the world, so that Kali Yuga did not sound as Kalaha Yuga to us, and we remain in the Sai Yuga despite Kali Yuga prevailing. It brings us closer to tune into Swami, you know, and hear his voice, hear his whispers, because it's only in the depth of silence that the voice of God can be heard. And it's very important to understand that how we can get into that. Sometimes, why we are speaking now is because we haven't got into that mode. Once we are in sync with Sai, I'm sure we have all experienced those moments. There's nothing to speak, there's nothing to express, there's just to be, right? And this is what Study Circle is doing. It's trying to make us understand in the best way how we can set that communion with God through Satsanga, right? And reroute and reconnect to Bhagavan. Remember to always be loyal in the sense that we keep digging at one place to get the water out rather than 10 places. Ek naam, ek nishtha, ek japa. This is so important, brothers and sisters. We see the world faltering around in the sign of moving from pillar to post, from mandir to masjid, from one guru to the other master, and not getting any answers because we have been seeking it outside. The answer is within, where Bhagwan has empowered us, Divya Atma Swarup Laras, right? It is just that we have not focused on our own being. So you have to keep digging to the source within, and when the water comes as we dig the well, the sprout, similarly, the sprout of Ananda, when you connect to Bhagwan, that bliss will come only if we are at one pointed, with a one pointed approach, meditating at one name and one naam. एक आस्था, एक रूप, एक जपा, एक मंत्र, एक तंत्र, एक ईश्वर, एक सत्य साई. There cannot be a compromise. So it's an important reminder for all of us when satsang brings us together to keep digging at the same place, right? Which all these masters who have done, whether Swami Yogananda, whether Swami Vivekananda, in fact, even Swami Vivekananda, and remember, the challenges will come, tests will come, we will fall, we will crawl, we will get up, we will walk, we will run again, but we'll again fall. There is bound to happen to have challenges. But with Sai with us, it doesn't become impossible, it becomes impossible because he's there with us, right? So even devotees like Sri Swami Vivekananda had lot of doubts that once when Ramakrishna was with the throat cancer lying, he had serious doubt and he was contemplating in his room, why did I waste my whole life into a person who cannot cure himself? He's having a throat cancer. And then, as he was contemplating, thinking about all this, there was a voice, Naren. And then look back. The Rama of Treta and Krishna of Dwapar is in front of you as Ramakrishna. And that's the time he realized. Because even he went to that extent of being so close to Ramakrishna Paramahansa that he somewhere faltered into realizing the divinity. We're all humans, we're all mortals, we are bound to come into these phases. Let us always keep praying, as Sri Ramana Maharshi says, that it's only by the grace of God that we can remember God. So as we sit into this satsang or anywhere when we are remembering Sai or trying to devote our time to Sai, be with him, remember it is he who has empowered us to remember him. All right. So it's an important part of reminder that we go and set forth into every satsang. And Swami came out with that amazing statement. There is only one caste of humanity. Now imagine this was somewhere in 60s or 50s when he came out. I'm not too sure about that, but I know this is how he started this and said that there's only one caste of humanity. Look at the world where we are in today. Don't you think this is what the world needs? There's only one language of heart. You may have different dialects, you may have different, languages what you speak, but if you are able to resonate, empathize with somebody, that's the language of Swami, that's the language of God, because that is then when we have touched the soul from one soul to the other soul, the language of heart. There is only one religion, the religion of love. What can be more said about it when the world is galore with fights on religion? Remember, religion in Latin is religare, came from the word religare, means to unite the mind and the souls. It was never to divide. And there's always a difference between, religion and religiousness. In Hindi they say, dharm ko mante hain, lekin dharm ki nahi mante. What it means is you believe in religion, but you don't follow that religion. And that's the state we are in. So Swami coined this, there's only one religion of love. That means we are all under the same umbrella. That's why we see in Parthi all occasions of Eid or, Guru Nanak Jayanti or Buddha Purnima, or it is Christmas, Deepavali, everything is celebrated with equal fervor and taste. And there is only one God who is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. And for us, it is always Satya Sai. And through Satya Sai, we see every other master in that prism, right? So it was an important unifying thing which Bhagwan came out. And then he also said, I'm not here come to destroy your faith or to change your faith. I've come here to make sure that you as an individual go as a better human being. You as a Muslim go back as a better Muslim. Hindu goes back as a better Hindu. Christian as a better Christian. That means we go back at better version of ourselves. Right. So this is the whole thing, crux on which, the whole mechanism of organization. Organization has been a lot with the activities. Yes, Sai Swami has named it Satsai Seva organization, but the organization is basically to realize through these activities the inherent divinity in us. Moving on, brothers and sisters, in the world of race, every race that you're doing, whether it's going to the office or you're running after your family or you're doing something for your child, there's a race, right? This is going on. And what we have forgotten is to add the alphabet G, which is God. The moment we add this, it becomes grace, right? When we carry him along, I remember Sister Geeta Mohan Ram in his discourses, she said, it's very important that we carry Swami. So when she used to drive the car, earlier she used to have, things loiter around in the front seat. And that's where in the interview, Swami told her mother that there is no place for me to sit because there's stuff put onto the seat. And when she came to know about it, she kept that seat vacant whenever she was driving. Can you imagine the omnipresence of Sai? He knows. He knows, even though we go and register and remember me or not, he knows what's going on in our life. He's just waiting for that in-depth, sincere call to reach him. So, brothers and sisters, we must remember to add God in our day-to-day family, existence, personal existence, professional existence, so that it becomes a part of grace. It becomes a part of, then then our professional, personal, or any life will not be separate. Everything will be with God, and it will be all divinized activity. And when we do that, then what starts happening is some things which were pre-written becomes rewritten by his grace. He takes down the pen, sees all our accounts, sees the the synchrony and the symphony with which we are tuned in with Swami, and then he says, okay, let me rewrite the history for this. And it's an important part, it's an important precondition, you can say. That's where surrender comes in. And how does it start? Surrender doesn't dawn, one day morning you get up and you say, okay, I'll go to Satsang Baba. Remember our journeys when we started, or when he brought us into his fold. It was not complete surrender, it was inquisitiveness. For us, some of us who were born in a Sai family, we didn't know the word surrender. We just knew that this is what it is. Again, I go back to the same narration what Adi Shankaracharya did. Namang no yantrang tad jane suti moho na chavanang dhyanang tad jane suti kata na jane mudraste tad jane vilapanam parang jane masu haranam klesharanam. He says that I don't know the mantra, I don't know the tantra, I don't know the ritual, how to worship you, I don't know this, but I know one thing. I know one thing. I just know to follow you blindly, to be behind you all the time. And that's the only thing which we need in this journey. Follow the master, face the devil, finish. Follow the master, face the devil, fight to the end, finish the game. What is the master? Is the conscience. What is the devil? Is all the negativities that we have in us and around. Fight that. It's such an important thing to follow the master. We may not be knowing the nuances of religion, nuances of all the lecture. If you have a pure heart and you have unsullied and unconditional surrender that I will only do what my master says, I'll follow his one teaching, love all, serve all. I'll follow his teaching, help ever, hurt never. How simple it is. And then you realize that how he starts getting into every activity of your life. So, brother, he starts, surrender doesn't come straight away, it doesn't dawn. It is something that we have to take the first step, which is to show that interest, that self effort. Once we do that, then the faith comes in, it creeps in, because now we have started liking getting into it. We've taken that interest. And then once the faith comes in, we start looking into things. Oh, why did it happen? Now I understand why Swami planned like this. Now I understand. And I'm going to share you something very briefly once we come across that slide on how it got connected in our case. Big picture. We start looking into the big picture. Then once you start looking into that, brothers and sisters, the acceptance comes. This is the most important ingredient of a surrender journey. You can't be conditional on accepting the verdict. It has to be absolutely unconditional. And when you do that with unconditional acceptance, that translates into surrender, sharanagati. All right. So it's an important part of the journey. And that is where this particular meter, acceptance of his will, the meter shows that it should always be extremely high. Right. It should be unconditional. It should always be there. And when we do that, when we add God to our race, which becomes a grace, even a big load, as you see in this screen, like, iron one, maybe let's say 100 kgs, it's square, it cannot be moved. This is all karmic debts that we are carrying in life. You find it difficult to move. His grace, what it does is, maybe the load is same, but changes into a shape which we can easily move and roll on. And that's where Bhagwan steps in. All right, when the surrender comes. Again from Bhagavad Vahini. This is a very enchanting, Bhagwan's quote there in the Bhagavad Vahini. Every drop of blood coursing through the veins is but a drop of shower of his grace. Remember this. As we exist, as we breathe, as blood flows, every drop of blood is his grace. Can this material body composed of 5 elements move or act without his prompting? Now he says, in fact, one of the lectures I was listening, he says that, even if you come together and make a body, first of all, he says the body is full of chemicals and all. Okay, being a scientist, you can, do something and you can make a body. He's saying, even if you make a body, my friend, sir, where will you bring the life from? Right? And that life, that complete string is in the hand of the puppeteer. That's what he says. Every muscle is but a lump of his love. So when you look at your muscles in the body, This is where you realize body is a temple of God. Man hi mandir, as Mirabai said, is you start looking into everything as his own, right? Which he has given us, possibly as a loan, so that we can conduct properly and return it back in a clean state as he gave it. When a child is born, is completely clean, pristine, and pure, so that when we are returning it at the time when we depart, it should be all as clean and nice. And then he says, every bone and cartilage is but a piece of his mercy. Unable to understand this, we strut about boasting, I achieved this, I accomplished this. Most people forget that all ruling, all knowing God is the puppeteer. This is a fact. Let's do a soul search and understand, when we are doing things, when we are reacting, when we are responding, we are completely forgetting. It's only in those moments in the temples or in the altars that we sit in the prayers that we try to remember God in the way we are supposed to. The rest of the times, we think that He's not watching, we think that He's not listening, and then we are into our elements. This is what Bhagwan says. Most people forget that he's the puppeteer, the holder of the strings. Character cannot deviate a dot from his direction. Now, this is all, you know what, when Arjuna comes after Krishna has left, how is he going to break the news that the Krishna has left? And Kunti is waiting for Arjuna to come in and tell. And before he goes, there's a strategy. They're sitting down with Yudhishthira and all the Panch Pandavas. They're thinking how to break this news to Ma Kunti, right? And that's where he's saying all this has happened because he was helpless when he was trying to, rescue some of the Yadavas from there and the ladies. And then what happened? The tribes attacked, and the same bow which he wanted to lift, he could not lift, he could not attack, he couldn't do nothing then because Krishna had left. I mean, it's symbolically that when the life force, the prana, the Krishna, the Lord, that we are all, so deeply devoted, when he leaves or when he's not around, or when we feel that he's not around, we are not in his presence, we feel so helpless. So character cannot deviate even a dot from his directions. He will guide and determine every single movement and gesture. He will guide. How strong this statement is. He will guide. It is indeed unfortunate that most actors claim they are actual doers and enjoy a plunge in the ignorance of the basic truth. When will people ever realize that they are but bags of skin executing his will? Bags of skin executing his will. Brothers and sisters, very important is, and that's why Bhagwan says, always said, Divyatma Swarupalara, because he never used to see us as bag of skin. He used to see as a pure consciousness, because his vision was pure. Our vision is all having cataract, all having these, all these impurities, and that is why we are not able to see the God within ourselves and into the others. So this was a very important thing to understand, how everything is controlled by him, how everything is executed by him. And when we come to this level of surrender or Sharnagati, things becomes rewritten, impossible becomes impossible, or I would say impossible also becomes I am possible. So these are not just merely saying brothers and sisters, but they are countless. As you all surf into the net and you see devotees and devotees saying about it. I will be going shortly to one of the place in Madhya Pradesh, Indore, a very famous place, where I'll be meeting some of the Sai devotees. I had a deep desire in this trip to meet them. So I'll be going to meet them. And one of them, Chore uncle, had joined in our session, and Upadhyay uncle. So you can imagine, cancer cancelled for auntie. And then not only that, he also shared how Baba came as a driver, bus driver and a conductor during one of the times in 70s when he was visiting the first time, and there were riots in that, I think in Chennai he was talking about, and there was a lot of, the full street was barren, there was nobody, and that's how Swami came. And when they went to Parthi, he confirmed it. So brothers and sisters, how does this happen? One is Anugraha, yes, he decides when he does it. That is his choice. Like you get a pass mark or you get a award, that's up to the president to give a mercy petition and sign it. That's fine. But from our side is to earn it, to put efforts to deserve it rather than desire it. And that's where the whole game plan is. A pure devotee is the one who possesses the quality of udasin bhava, right? The other quality of a devotee must be being free from egoism and possessiveness. One should get rid of the idea of doership and ownership and surrender everything. Krishna declared in Gita that such a devotee is dear to me. Such a devotee naturally develops detachment towards the world and is indifferent to the happenings in the phenomenal world. Another quality you must have is giving up attachment to the fruits of action. Again, this is something that we have been talking about in grappling. Is very important. When the fruits of action is nice, we get elated, we start celebrating, and so we develop more karmas. We start getting into more activities, and again accruing a lot of fruits to be settled. If we get depressing results, we get into the state of depression, and again all the associated negativities that comes with that. So detachment is nothing but disconnecting yourself from the fruit of action. We have to come to terms to with this, rather than thinking just to be a nice saying out there in the wall. We have to practice in our lives. Let's move on. Let's see on surrender. We had played it some time back, but I felt it's very powerful to do it as we went through some of these things which happened, and this seems to be a very, very powerful reminder to all of us.
Why get agitated? Let me take care of all your business. I shall be the one who will think about them. I'm waiting for nothing else than your surrender to me. And then you do not have to worry anymore about anything. Say farewell to all fears and discouragement. You demonstrate that you do not trust me. On the contrary, you must rely blindly on me. To surrender means to turn your thoughts away from troubles, to turn them away from difficulties that you encounter and from all your problems. Leave everything in my hands, saying, Lord, thy will be done. Thou think of it. That is to say, Lord, I thank you, for you have taken everything into your hands, and you will resolve this for my highest good. Remember that thinking of the consequences of a thing is contrary to surrender. That is to say, when you worry that a situation has not had the desired outcome, you demonstrate that you do not believe in my love for you. You prove that you do not consider your life to be under my control and that nothing escapes me. Never think, how is this to end? What is going to happen? If you give in to this temptation, you demonstrate that you do not trust me. Do you want me to deal with it? Yes or no? Then you must stop being anxious about it. I shall guide you only if you completely surrender to me. And when I must lead you on a different path than the one you expect, I carry you in my arms. What seriously upsets you is your reasoning, your worrying, your obsession, and your will to provide for yourself at any price. I can do so many things when the being, in his material necessities as in his spiritual ones, turns to me saying, You think of it, and then closes his eyes and rests quietly. will receive a lot, but only when your prayer relies fully on me. You pray to me when in pain so that I intervene, but the way you desire it. You do not rely fully on me, but you want me to adjust to your requests. Don't behave like sick ones who ask for a treatment from the doctor, all the time suggesting it to him. Do not do that, but rather, even in sad circumstances, say, Lord, I praise and thank you for this problem, for this necessity. I pray you to arrange things as you please for this terrestrial, temporal life. You know very well what is best for me. Sometimes you feel that disasters increase instead of diminishing. Do not get agitated. Close your eyes and tell me with faith, Lord, thy will be done. You think of it. And when you speak thus, I accomplish a miracle when necessary. I think of it only when you trust me totally. Dear one, I always think of you, but I can help you completely only when you rely fully on me.
So that was one which we have visited a lot of times, uh, but I think it is absolutely magical to understand what surrender really means. He says sometimes it will increase, disasters will increase, troubles will increase, it will not diminish. And that's where the testing waters are. Moving on, this is something which which I wanted to basically discuss in line with the surrender. Now we do Paduka Puja, and Bhagwan very clearly explains what is the Paduka Puja. Paduka Puja is nothing when we are trying to walk the footprints of the Bhagwan, the messages that he has given us. And he says, even if you practice one message in life, that is good enough to reach him, right? Vaidyo Narayana Hari. In this topic of surrender, and as we move on, Sharire Jarjari Bhute Vyadhi Graste Kale Bare Aushadang Javi Toyang Vaidyo Narayana Hari. What it means is when all the vital life forces leave the body, when the whole being is seized by incurable disease, what medicine is there than river Ganga? Who else but Lord Narayana Hari, who would come as a physician? This is something, brothers and sisters. I'm in Delhi right now, just to take you a little bit uh, of what I have understood. Uh, so my sister, as you all know, Pratibha, she always in the session. She's also sitting right behind me on the bed because she has been operated recently for a brain tumor, and a tumor which was 2.6, 2.8 centimeters in size. And how it all started when she had a vision impairment, means she used to pour water and the water used to fall not in the glass outside. She used to see the same floor as, you know, different layers. So her vision had started constricting and came to about 50%. Okay, this problem was uh, not so much prominently diagnosed until they went to a doctor who said get a MRI done. MRI showed a growth. Now my brother is a doctor, we all got into it, and being Swami's disciple and Swami's devotee, she's always into Sai awareness, Sai consciousness. Surrender is something which I saw. Now, this tumor had to be taken out, and the biopsy done, of course, for whether it's benign or malignant. Uh, Understood to be generally acceptable to be benign if it is near the pituitary gland. So she was first fixed for an operation on 29th December. And we were all set in Madhya Pradesh. She's in Delhi to receive her and her daughter who came from Canada. She also joins from Canada in the satsang. And somehow due to the operation that was rescheduled and taken off, that they will not come. On 29th, when everything was set, I think 28th, my brother was also in Delhi, and she showed some improvement with some medicine. There was some, from 50% it went to 70% of vision, and then things started. So doctor said that we will postpone the surgery, will not do it now. My brother was against it, but sister said no, vision has improved. So what happened was she came to Madhya Pradesh, where we there. We spent time in the new year, and we were all together, and then she came back. Now, when she came back, there were 2 or 3 MRIs were done just to see the status of the growth, whether it has come down or it is same. So growth was same, and there was no changes. So the operation date was fixed uh, on Thursday, 27th January. Okay, 27th January was the operation fixed. Now all this while, it's not an easy call, and the doctor is one of the best surgeons in India for pituitary gland. Rather, he's the best, Dr. Mehta. Somehow Swami arranged him, and the surgery was to go through the nose. It is some new technology where they do a surgery, go through the nose, and then reach that particular growth side and suck it out. She has been given anesthesia. She knew that she's going through the nose. A couple of days after operation, she might have to breathe through the mouth. All these were fed in well. Now, when she's at the operation table, anesthesia given, the doctors said, "We'll not do the nose surgery. It will be a brain surgery to remove." And that was a change which nobody was aware, nobody was prepared. And right from the time she knew, I mean, she was living in that awareness. When I used to always speak her, she's saying, "This is your body, Swami. This doctor is also yours. You are going to come and perform the operation as a doctor. You are me as in a patient. So I have nothing to worry." And she used to continuously chant the Sai Ishwarai and the other things that Ma has taught her. Completely surrender. I have seen that. So now she knew it is going to be neurosurgery, right? Not so critical as going to be the brain surgery. But eventually, when at the operation table, things changed, and doctor decided that he has to do a open brain surgery because this cannot be taken out. Now, can you imagine the same doctor who has been seeing 3 MRIs and all that had made an opinion through nose? He changes it. What made him change? We don't know. It was not an easy decision. My brother was very, very, very nervous because he's a doctor. And when he was at a different place, he was told that this is what is happening. And he told, please hold on to the operation. The doctor agreed. But my brother-in-law and doctor spoke something, and brother-in-law said, okay, please proceed. And he says till date that he doesn't remember that what he said and what happened. And when the doctor operated, the brain was, of course, there were about 28, 30 stitches, and it was that big. She can share this when she comes back. She's listening to it. When he operated and excised the tumor, it was so hard, brothers and sisters. Can you imagine? So hard. The doctor said it would have never come out through the nose. It would have complicated the operation and fatality would have resulted. That's how Swami takes when you care at the nick of the moment, right? And why my brother was not here in Delhi, because normally he's there when such things happen. He was at Satna, because if he was here, he would have rescheduled and delayed it. And the repercussion of delaying this operation is complete blindness. And second thing is madness, because it's somewhere in the pituitary gland. It is doing something to the optical nerve or whatever, as per the language, right? So it was needed to be done. And through the nose, and then Bhagwan changes is through the brain. Why? Because the complication would have resulted. So the brain surgery was performed. Of course, everybody was, praying. The only tool I think we have, while the doctors have all the scissors and the incision, the blades and the sutures, we have Sai. That's our instrument. That's our tool. We all were praying, and she came out, and they were amazed that her BP did not drop even for a moment On that day or till the date of recovery, till she was discharged, she was maintaining a steady blood pressure. And because of that also, in fact, my bhabhi, who is also a doctor, came and she started crying, looking at the stitches and all, saying that, oh, it's a massive operation, it's a critical one. How could you, how can you be just sitting and welcoming us and this and that? We thought you were going to be there. And that's what the power of Sai does. That's what Swami does. When you completely are in sync with him, he takes over the entire operation. So this operation was a critical operation, went off smoothly. She has recovered much faster than expected, as per the doctors, thinking at the way things are. So there was something which we saw where Vedo Narayani, where he himself must have come made the decision, because brother-in-law doesn't remember. He says that I know the doctors came and there was a huge idea whether we should do the operation and all. That it was surely Swami which spoke through me, because I don't own any of this decision or the memory of what was spoken then, right? And imagine if suppose it had happened through the nose, what would have happened? There would have been a clear fatality, right? So that's where the surrender comes in, because I see her completely surrendered to Bhagavan with his wish, his will being her wish. And was a big learning curve also, to see how serious operations or serious, issues in life can be very well challenged by having Sai alongside us. All right. So this particular slide was there to share with you on this journey, which very briefly I shared. Of course, the recovery will take, the full internal healing will take its own time. The stitches got removed yesterday, and she's doing absolutely fine. So Bhagavan says that is the real Paduka Puja. When we follow his footprint, it's not just surrender, it's actually to surrender, as we have seen in the case of Professor Kasturi, correct? When we speak about so endearingly, who surrendered so much that despite all the personal challenges, where he lost his son, where he lost his daughter was going through all these issues in personal life, his wife was bedridden, still he said, my Swami is embodiment of perfection. And I know whatever he does perfect in life. So moving on, brothers and sisters, and there you go. Bhagavan says that remember that the great scriptures of different religion, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Quran, the Guru Granth Sahib, have not been given for mere ritualistic reading. They are intended to serve as guides of action. Of what avail is mere recitation of slokas or writing learned articles? These There are persons who recite Gita every day, know by heart all the 700 stanzas. Can this be called devotion? He puts a question mark. So when we are trying to understand this, remember that that's all about practical. Theory is done. Bhagavan has given Upadesha. For decades and decades, he has completely counseled us, led us as one of the finest examples of love sacrifice, shown us the way how we should do seva. Everywhere he has done it. Now it's for us to perform the practicals properly. And then he says, unless the teachings are put in practice, of no use. It's not enough to be human in the form. You remember the bags of skin, he said, it's not enough to be human in the form. You have to be human in your conduct. The world will benefit only those who have behaved like human beings. So that was an important thing. Again, the journey, before we end, is a reminder. Journey is a reminder that the journey is from Koham to Soham, right? From understanding the God is within us to into everyone, and then the same divinity permeates the whole world. It's from the outer self to the inner self. We have been probably suffering from dementia, the spiritual dementia, that we have not bothered to even look within us. We have forgotten the root and the source from which we have come. It's very important to recalibrate and get into the same journey again, because the whole life, whole exercise, if we haven't done that consciously, then we are still far from the goalpost. The purpose of the human birth is not to eat, merry make, die again, again be born, and again do the same thing. It's to understand, rekindle the divinity by any ways, by satsanga, by bhajans, by complete surrender, by seva, by service. I think seva is one of the best ways Bhagwan has said. Nama Smarana and seva. These are the two wings of the bird of realization, where we can reach him by serving selflessly to to all the once deprived ones that we see along. And seva should not become a routine. It should become our own internal character. That once we see somebody aggrieved, once we understand if we can do something about it, we must do it. Okay. And that's how we are going to lead this life of self realization, through these activities that Bhagwan has laid to reach the goal from where we have come. All right. With that, I think we are coming to almost the end of the session today. I would have Brother Shastri, I would request him to come on and share one of the 108 names. And I will stop sharing from here on. There were some couple of videos I would wanted to play for. Okay, let me see if Swami's videos are here. Okay, I think we can carry it next time. We can carry it next time. Can we have Brother Shastri to share one of the 108 names?
Yeah. Sairam brothers, Sairam
Sai-
brothers and sisters. So wonderful, brother, to hear today's this one. Swami's name is Om Sri Sai Sundara Rupaya Namaha. I think it's all each one of us who has been to Patti to have his physical darshan. It's how many number of times you just look at that form, one pointed attention, even the dot is in a far crowd there, just that look or that the direction from which he comes and he goes, all the heads, all the eyes turn towards him. So I think also one great thing that I have seen is the way Swami's glow on his face changes, especially on festive occasions. When Sai Kulwanthal was not there, when Sands were there, only two lines. At times there
Mm.
could be only one line of devotees sitting there on the
Yes, yes,
there.
yes.
But when the crowds become overwhelming, and they come almost touching the mandir there, and there hardly any distance between students and the devotees, especially Swami's birthday times. So we should see Swami's face is to overflow with that ananda and power and the joy. It's completely different from what he used to be with us just a while ago. So I think that obviously beauty, or the real beauty, that is the when you say Sundara Rupaya Namaha, is obviously is different from the physical the form that we think of what is beauty. So that Swami, I think, as the true divine nature is just that indication. Without invitation, thousands and lakhs of people just flocking there with no sound at all, pin drop silence, and all gluing to that beautiful form. I think that itself, therefore, he truly Sundara Rupaya Namaha. So, so to say that whenever Swami, coming in a car, for example, whenever Swami is to come from Vrindavan, we should see how many villagers, how many devotees used to
Yeah.
line up on both sides of the road, seeing Swami through the window, or Swami lowering the window and then looking at the devotees, whatever it is, whichever way, whatever situation it is, to have a glimpse of him, however many number of times, is another thing. It's not that you have just seen once, fine, that's fine, but every time that you see that beauty that every one of us have enjoyed is what this name is standing for. And all the names, not only of 108 names, but in other extollations also, that Sundara, that is the beauty of Sai or the divine, is always extolled. And Swami has in fact started Satyam, Shivam and Sundaram, the three centers also. So the real beauty is what I think all of us need to unearth and make it fixed. I think, as Brother Bindu, you always keep saying, one name, one form. So I
Oh,
think that,
yes.
yeah,
Oh,
yes, very, very essential. And it stands. And one more thing that I find these days is, those who have not seen Swami, and just looking at his picture, and they just want to know more and get to him. So his ways are many. It is his creation, of course. All of us are part of his creation. So therefore, He has got his own ways and means of pulling all of us to the right path. Yes, sir.
Sairam, brother.
Sairam.
Sairam, brother, wonderful. Yeah, I remember when you said one or two lines in those days when there was no Sai Kunwal Hall. In fact, even no Purnachand auditorium was there.
Yes.
And then and then Swami used to just come around, mix around, staying under the tree, cooking food, and then that food, Ma used to go and stand at the Prashanti Mandir, which was normal, a three-room or whatever accommodation block, and that was, one of the students used to take it to Swami to offer, and then it used to come back to us, and then we used to eat it. So those were days where the clear proximity was there, but perhaps I think we didn't take the actual spiritual advantage of the proximities. Not only then, even later, we were taking a lot granted of Avatar being roaming around with us, and we didn't realize what we had. It's like a beggar who was begging, and when he died, when they wanted to bury him, they dug a grave where he was seated, and they found a big box with a lot of jewelry. And then they said, I mean, look at the fate of this beggar. He died begging, not realizing that the whole
Treasure.
treasure was below him. And this is exactly what we did. We had Swami with us. We had been, in his physical form. He's always there. But when in his physical form and awareness, we could have maximized the advantage. And possibly that is again his lila, that.
Yes, yes, brother, it's not easy. See, brother Sundar, for example, Sundar, I always remember him because he was my room leader in one of the years. So, first year, I think he was in my room. First year, I was there in Patti. So, in my grade 11, see, so much close proximity, but it's his grace. Obviously, we need to pine for his grace to get that spiritual closeness and, get firm into it and get the full benefit of it. So where the point is, whether we have seen physically him, he has given the ananda, that bliss, and it's already imprinted permanently in heart. Just to
Sure.
hold on to it is what is important. I think the beautiful letter that you have shared today reminds me many things, and even that one picture of Swami's footprints,
Yeah.
that's on sand. And let me tell you, brother, your sister and brother here on this call today. Yeah, it's amazing. We have all taken it for granted. We went for a vacation and we came back and no more sand there. And we thought that every time we will be able to see Swami's print there on that footprints
Sand.
on the sand. And that's how it was, the life. He,
Yeah.
quietly changed. I mean, evolving organization, evolving things, just, then slowly went far off. I mean, I would say that, as you rightly say, it's taking things for granted. So
Yeah.
I don't think we can afford to do that, having
We,
known and
yeah. We are busy with the creation than the creator, with the gift than the giver. So these were the things. But of course, I know there's a lot of learnings when you fall and get up, and he allows that to happen so that it cements deeper into us. The most important thing is, like I said, Adi Shankara Shloka, Namantran no Yantran. No matter what I do, I will not be able to do this, not this, not this. But I must know one thing, that I will keep walking behind you. I will
yeah,
just follow you, blindly follow you. If that love and infallible, desire is there to hold on to his hand, no matter what, I'm sure he stands by your side in every testing hour, brother.
that's right.
It's absolutely, in my sister's case, I've seen it. It was not an easy thing because, about 28 some stitches. Yesterday we got it open. And to change the decision, how the decision happened, my brother-in-law doesn't know, because my brother at Satna was upset that why he took a decision of going ahead. He said, well, it just happened. I don't know. It was so empowering.
Mm,
And the doctor said, this is the best guy in the, you can type this guy, Dr. Mehta, is the best in neurosurgery. And he says we couldn't have done it through the nose. No doctor could have done it. They had to literally take out that cutting and then chiseling and then scraping from the wherever it was to remove the vestige. It went on about 4.5, 5 hours, this surgery. So, so what I'm saying is he puts things in the right perspective at the time when you would not even know. And then he changes the people, like it happened in my mother's death, right? I don't know whether I would have had an heart attack or whatever seeing her die. He removed me just 3 days before she left.
mm,
Whereas she had taken a word from me that you will be there when I leave. But why he removed? I kept asking Swami, and I got the answer in the sense that when if I was there, she would have been cremated at Satna itself, the place. Okay. But as per a horoscope, her end was in Sangam, Allahabad, Prayagraj. Okay. And how can that be achieved? So what the destiny did was remove me from this place, Satna. I went to Singapore. Within two 2 days or something, I get a call that she left. And they had to wait for me, right? So for waiting for me, they changed the plan to Allahabad Sangam rather than Satna. And the destiny got fulfilled, which we were not aware when we were doing that. It's a different matter that Swami arranged on the way to Allahabad, which is about 300 kilometers. There was Sevadal somewhere in between who gathered to put a shawl on her, as a mark of respect. Then there was this Justice Mishra, who's a trustee and who's such a great devotee of Swami. He managed the whole cremation for her. How Bhagwan arranges for his devotee. And you won't believe, brother, in the Makar Sankranti day, on that Punyakal, she left. On the Maha Punyakal, 5:45 a.m., after taking Vibhuti water and that. And he arranged the VIP boat. I mean, everything Swami arranged, VIP boat. There was nobody in Makar Sankranti, is a huge crowd, right, brother? But when we went out with her ashes to the Sangam, one light boat, VIP boat, and there was nobody around. We got all the time and the space to pour it. That's how he takes care. So, brothers and sisters, yeah, it was wonderful always to remember that first we have to deserve, and that deserving credentials or qualifications are surrender, unconditionally love Swami, have faith that whatever he gives us in life is the best that is to happen to us, no matter what it comes. Once you have this undiluted faith, everything else what it follows is his prasadam. And you get a strength. You become so udasin bhav, you become so stoic. Nothing matters you, right? So anyway, wonderful. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. And we'll conclude the session by Samasta Loka 3 times and reconnect again. Next time, surely I'll lay out the topic. And hopefully I'll be in some place more located than wandering. Om Samastalokaah Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaah Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaah Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti शांति शांति। जय बोलिए भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, have a wonderful week.
Everyone. Sai
Om
Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Let's
Most loving Sai Ram to one and all.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Thank you
Sai
so
Ram.
much.
Take care. Bye bye.